Yes, now you are 20 minutes late. I don't know where you've been, but we're happy to have you. And we also are very happy to have on the line Todd Marie. Hi, Todd.
Hello. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
It is an absolute pleasure to have you and chat to you. Welcome to the Urban Jazz Experience on Metro FM.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. This is amazing.
Okay, Mr. Jazz Groupies. What is this Jazz Groupies project that you're on? Because, once you say Jazz Groupie, in other words, it's a question of you just go wherever jazz is. Is that how this came about for you?
That is absolutely how it came about for me. I mean, Jazz Groupies really started. I'm a former producer because in my past life, I lived in the urban and hip hop producing world. And after a few years of that, I kind of stepped away from the industry and became a fan of music again. And my dad, as a kid, he always tried to, introduce me to jazz, but you know how we are as kids. We always try to do the exact opposite of what our parents tell us to do.
That's so true.
So after I kind of stepped away and I became a fan, my dad passed away, and jazz became a way to reconnect with him in a way. And I just really became a fan of jazz again, and a hardcore fan at that. And I started. I went to my first Robert Glasper show. And I was blown away at how you can fuse jazz with a modern sound and it still can be relevant and it's not too overbearing. So that's how I started Jazz Groupies. I would just travel to shows. Any jazz artist, I'd go to New York. I'd go to Robert Glasper was in Seattle. If I had time off, I would go and see him play. And I came up with this concept, and I said, I feel like I'm a jazz groupie. I'm just following jazz. I'm following jazz artists around, and I really don't have anything to offer to them but my fanship. So after that, I came to the Houston, Texas area. Is where I'm from, and I connected with that jazz scene, which I never knew it was so amazing because I never really got into that scene. And I got the itch to start producing music again. I had taken about an 8 to 10 year break of producing music. I mean, no music equipment or anything. So I got the itch, and I said,
before you go even further, let's just go back to the times when you took the break. You were producing. You were in the hip hop world and producing the likes of Master P and so forth. And
yes.
Question is, why did you just drop everything all of a sudden? What happened?
Because I wasn't doing the music that was authentically me. I think I was young. I was very young, and being in the southern region of the United States, it was it's a very strong hip hop culture. So I was conforming to get placements on albums, to work with record labels, but I really wasn't doing the jazz style that got me even to wanting to produce music. So and on top of that, I was young, I didn't have a manager, I navigated the music industry myself, and I got burned out. I mean, that's the best way to put it. So once I finished college, I said, I'm going to just step away and focus on the corporate side of life. And I just became a fan. And it was a great experience to be a fan of music and not always trying to create music.
Okay. And of course, you were going to start talking about how then you got back. But before you tell us how you then started getting back into producing and starting to create your own sound and your own music, let's first listen to a song called Hallelujah and just quickly tell us about that. Because this is a song that also features the great saxophonist, Mr. Stephen Richards. And who else is featured on this song? I think it's Byron J. Muhammad as well.
Yeah, Byron J. Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
Byron J. Muhammad and a Canadian singer, Nikki. She's from Canada, and she's an amazing vocalist. And this was the first song that I've ever wrote myself and had singers actually sing. And it was off my Purple Sax EP, which is a special project where I fused the Houston, Texas culture with jazz, which is something that had never been done before in this way.
Wow. Anyway, it's called Hallelujah. It's the music of jazz groupies, a.k.a. Todd Maury. Is it correct to say a.k.a. Todd Maury? Is it the other way around, Todd?
No, that's absolutely fine. Todd Moultrie or jazz groupies, it's synonymous.
It's synonymous. Okay. It's a song called Hallelujah. And we get to hear this music. I've been trying to remember how we even got to talk because everybody's meeting online these days. I've even forgotten how we got to get in touch with each other.
I think it was you played Hallelujah on the show. I for some, you were connected to a few people that I had met on Instagram, and I started following you, and I was looking at Mike Casey from New York.
Yes.
He tagged me. Yeah, he's the one who tagged me and said, "Hey Todd, is this your song on Nothemba's UJX playlist?" And that's how I actually got connected to you.
Oh, okay. And then we started chatting and all that, which is fantastic. Okay, let's get back to because I'm quite curious about your production style now that when you came back and started producing music, did you learn anything on your trips as a jazz groupie that you started implementing now, as a new producer, so to speak?
Yes, I did, because I never knew that you can fuse jazz with hip hop, soul, and different sounds. I kind of, as a jazz fan, we kind of get stuck. We kind of get stuck in appreciating the past so much that we are scared to touch what has made jazz so great. So when I saw people like Robert Glasper, I went to a Gretchen Pilato show. It changed my life, just to see how they fuse the traditional jazz sounds with urban sounds and make it a hip, modern sound. It amazed me, and that's what made me. That's what gave me the itch to want to try it myself, because I had never really tried jazz before. I loved it, but I was never brave enough to try my own style or brand of jazz.
Mm-hmm. So this one is from Purple Sax, sex as in SAX for anyone who's listening. That's
yes. Yes, for the kids, right?
For the kids. And this was your this was your first EP, I think.
So I'll say this was my second EP. My first EP had very few features. It was really experimental. My first EP was a Melanizance, which is kind of a spin. Melanizance is a spin on the Harlem Renaissance. But Purple Sax was after I saw I went to a Stephen Richard show, amazing saxophonist in Houston. And so I saw Stephen Richard and Byron J. Muhammad play at the House of Blues. And it was that night at that show I said, how about I get musicians to play on top of my tracks and we collaborate together on an album where I'm a hip hop producer, or a producer, I'd say. I'm a beat maker. I'm not necessarily a musician, and I own that, and I don't want to step outside of that boundary. But how about I get these amazing musicians on my tracks, and we produce our brand of jazz together? And that's how I got the idea from that show.
Wow. Let's listen to is it Amy or AMY? What's that?
Yes, it's AMY, and that's my wife. That's my wife. It was a 5-year anniversary song that I made basically as an anniversary gift.
Wow. Okay, let's have a quick listen. And then there's something strange about your songs. They're very short.
That's kind of a theory. My thought when I started Jazz Groupies again was that in today's music, you listen to the Spotify generation and the playlist generation. I don't think people really are into long songs, and maybe it's a personal preference of mine. Also, not wanting to listen to a long song. My thought was to have these on radio and playlists that you can go to multiple songs and blend it with different styles.
Aha. Okay, let's listen to the song you dedicated to your lovely wife. It's the music of the jazz groupies on the Urban Jazz Experience. And I must tell you, Todd, that the Jazz Lounge DJs who compile your music are already commenting about, oh, wow, that Hallelujah song was in my compilation kind of thing. So
Wow.
your fans are listening.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, Hallelujah was a song that kind of, I think, took off internationally. I never really tried to market myself outside of the States, and Hallelujah was the first song where I kind of marketed outside of the United States, and that was kind of all the momentum I needed.
So, and talking about things outside of the U.S., you are collaborating with people all over the world, including South Africa. You have just recently recorded something. Tell us about that.
Yes, so myself and Saul Matiope from Pretoria, we connected through IG, as all things start these days. We connected through IG, and he's the one who actually introduced just the South Africa fan base to me. He said, "Hey, guy, I think they really love your music over here," and so we started just talking. We started doing Zoom calls, just connecting with one another and working on a collaboration album. We said, we have to do a collab album. I think that's something that would be so special to mix my sound with, his sound, which has a heavy South African influence. And so we released just recently the crossover last month, the crossover EP. And it's a 6-song EP. It's a 6-song EP. It's 3 tracks each of us. We basically both came to the table with 3 tracks of our own, and we collaborated on those tracks. And he was able to get some of his South African-based artists on those songs. So you have Thando J, you have Jai Level, Gomza, and I may pronounce this wrong, but Modern Way is also on a song as well. So we just released it a month ago, and it took off. I mean, the reception was larger than either of us thought.
Okay, let's listen to that track called Foundation, your collaboration with Thando. It's a Jazz Groupies and Thando collaboration called Foundation from the album called Crossover that you're hearing on the Urban Jazz Experience. I'm in conversation with Todd Moultrie, who is the Jazz Groupies guy. When we come back from the break, we wrap up our conversation. In fact, I'm loving your tweets. I've got Tapelo who says, I first heard Thoughts and Things by Jazz Groupies on your show, and I've never looked back. I'm hooked on his music. Well, I'm sure he's very happy. He's still on the line. We'll chat to him after this. And welcome back, Todd, as we wrap up the show. And I'm sure you're just absolutely enjoying the comments and the love that you're getting from especially the Jazz Lounge fans of the music.
I am. I had to go over to Twitter, and lots of love. I thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah. So what's next for you, Jazz Groupie?
So what's next? Saul Matiope and myself, we've turned the crossover into kind of our own brand. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna be we're working on some different ideas and concepts to either a crossover playlist or a podcast starting early next year. And we're going to be doing another crossover, a full-length album, probably later next year. And Saul and myself talked about visiting each other, and he coming to the States and me coming over to South Africa to record and document that, and kind of maybe spin a documentary as well. But